Welcome to KQEG and Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, wellness, and into fitness. Well, this is a special week because we are profiling UWL women's track and field. Hey, one of the best programs in this country, no question about that. You maybe already know that. My guest this week, just returning from nationals in North Carolina, Pam Gramer and Claire Stepardson. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
You talk about a special program. We've had UWL track and field athletes before, but finishing second among 72 teams in the nationals, behind a school called Loras College, which I'm familiar with in Dubuque, Iowa. But you had 30 of the top top 10 finishes. You won the WIAC championship again, the outdoor championship, 9th year in a row, and 35th in school history. Wow. Certainly being a part of an Eagle program is pretty special. Starting with you, Pam, I know you grew up in Minnesota, you were homeschooled, and you heard about UWL, and what attracted you to come to La Crosse?
It was just the atmosphere when I came to visit here. It seemed like the coaches were all very welcoming and very encouraging, and they really wanted me to be there. I felt like I was already a part of that environment just from talking with Coach B and Coach Wagner.
But take us to that time when they reached out to you, though. I mean, you went to high school, but yet you were homeschooled. Mm-hmm. So you were obviously they knew about you as a track and field athlete at high school.
Yeah, I think it was since my school was in Minnesota. I don't know if they really looked around that area as much. So I actually contacted Coach Wagner at the time and told her I was interested in going to that school. And then Coach B was contacting me throughout that time, trying to find times to talk with me. And then when I came to visit, I met up with Coach Wagner. And from there it was just talking with them throughout that time. I did take 1 year after I graduated high school. So even during that year, they still kept contacting me just to make sure that that was where I wanted to go, which it stayed the same throughout.
So you made the initial contact. Mm-hmm. You heard about UWL, but let's go back a little bit. So obviously you were inspired by and you were introduced to athletics when you were young.
Yeah, I was. I actually, my whole family we're all very athletic, but they're more on the running side of track and field, whereas I'm the field side. So it was a little different there, and I didn't really find my interest in throwing until my junior year of high school, actually. So that was when it all kind of took off. But throughout the years, I was still in soccer and doing other types of summer sports like baseball and stuff with my family. But in terms of track and field, it was really just my junior year of high school where I really realized this was something that I loved doing.
9 children in the family. Whoa!
Yeah.
That's pretty special.
It's a lot.
Well, I remember I watched Claire Stepardson as an athlete at La Crosse High School. We talked about that a little bit before we went on the air here this week. But you had an outstanding career at La Crosse High School as a lancer. But before that, you come from a family of athletes. Dad, a good friend of mine, Coach Shep from Onalaska High School. Many Hilltoppers have been on the show. So let's go back to when you were introduced to track and field or athletics in general.
So actually, getting introduced to athletics, I originally was a swimmer. I did not start running until I was in middle school, my 7th grade year. But going into my 7th grade year, specifically for track, I just remember we have a garden out in our yard, and my dad's like, run and jump into it. And little did I know he was trying to get me to long jump. And just through watching my dad, and even like as a kid, we would always be on the sidelines watching track meets, watching my dad run track meets and having fun. And just getting introduced to athletics, it was something that in my family you just kind of did. It wasn't a question of like, hey, do you want to try doing softball? It's like, No, we have summer league of softball right next to our house. You're going.
But the youngest sister, you have Katie and Emily.
Yep.
And they were athletes too.
Yes, they were. Katie was a distance runner, actually, and Emily was, like Pam, kind of more on the field side, where she was a thrower. She loved doing shot put and discus, and I was not inclined to distance or throwing. I was like, I want to sprint, and I want to hurdle. And even hurdling, I didn't pick up until my junior year in high school. So it was a little bit of a later introduction for it.
Pam, you were you were involved in field events in high school, but was there a coach or somebody that, you know, kind of inspired you or planted a seed that you could become a college athlete?
Yes, my high school coach, Coach Aaron Wilkerson, he was at Eastridge. During that time when I was trying to decide if I wanted to run, if I wanted to throw, what I wanted to do, it was him and my other head coach, Coach Ness. They both were just stick with it, like stick with throwing. They saw potential in me that I didn't really see. I did enjoy it, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And then ending up my senior year, when we started talking about college and what I wanted to do, I really didn't think about doing anything in college until my coach, Coach Wilkerson, was like, he asked me what my plans were, and he was like, did you think of throwing in college? And it didn't even cross my mind until he said that. And then
You come from a close family.
Yes.
Okay, so, and you travel all the way to La Crosse, which is, I mean, not that far, about 2.5 hours, but come from a close family, and all of a sudden you leave and you come to La Crosse, Wisconsin. How did your parents feel about that? And was that accepted for you to travel and come here?
Yeah, they were very excited for me coming here. All of my siblings traveled to another state for college athletics, so they were used to it, with my older sister going to South Dakota and then my younger sister going to Iowa. So we were all kind of in the surrounding states of Minnesota, and then I chose Wisconsin. So they were very excited to send me off to this next part.
Again, my guests this week from UWL Women's Track and Field, Pam Gramer and Claire Shepardson. Well, was it a difficult transition? A lot of people get homesick when they leave the nest. Did you have that problem?
Probably, yeah, I think right at first, the first little bit where it just sets in, where you're alone at a college and your family's a few and a half hours away. It definitely was different, but honestly, the environment at La Crosse felt a lot like home, and so I felt like there were times where I would miss my family, but it was close enough to home, and I still felt like I was somewhere that I loved.
Well, I've heard that before, and the reason I say it is because student athletes that have come from different parts of the country or wherever come to UWL, and so all of a sudden it's a sort of a nurturing culture, and everybody feels welcome. Speaking of traveling, Claire, you did not intend to go to UWL initially.
No, I started out at Winona State. So I just remember I did tour UWL, and I did end up putting in a partial application, but the week after, as I'm about to submit it, I get an acceptance letter from Winona State. And some of my dad's even closest alumni friends, like Coach Perkins, Evan Perkins at Winona State, I remember talking to him. He would come over to our house sometimes to talk about Winona State's program, and I was like, I want to give it a shot. I love Winona. Winona is beautiful, and it just wasn't for me. And I just remember sitting, it was Thanksgiving time, and I just remember my parents both look at me and they're like, you should be an Eagle. And I was looking, and I was like, the more and more that I looked at the programs at UWL, and not even necessarily athletics, I ended up looking back and thinking, this is so much more beautiful than Winona, and I love the atmosphere of being on campus, and then thinking about it. I just took the leap at semester at
What a plus. Instead of a win-all, instead of going to Winona State, she becomes an Eagle. That's two-time All-American, three-time All-American academically, too.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Hard work. It's a lot of hard work.
Was it difficult to balance that with your training?
It's definitely not easy, but when it's two things that you love to learn about, it's never a difficult task. It's definitely, there's a lot of hard days and you can get really stressed out, but when you're doing something you love, it's never really hard work.
Pam Gramer, listen to this, Dean's List 3 years in a row.
Yes, yeah.
Is that part of the expectations of a women's track and field athlete to also be a top student?
Honestly, you would think because of how high our athletes are academically, but honestly, those years were the years that I finally decided what major and where I wanted to study were, and so those years were all just me doing what I loved, honestly, in terms of academics.
Balance, priorities, all those kinds of things. Student first, athlete second. All right, we're going to step aside just for a minute. We're going to more here on Seven Rivers Sports right after this.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports, UWL Track and Field, profiling this week with Pam Gramer and Claire Stepardson. Claire, we talked a little bit in the first half of the show about your passion for education and certainly athletics part of it, but public health, community nutrition, those are the things that really are important to you.
Yeah, they really are, especially through the time of being a UWL athlete. Things like talking about mental health, talking about sexual health, talking about nutrition as well. There's so many gaps of it within, not even on a campus, but throughout the whole United States. And one of the things that a lot of our coaches encourage us to do is to be vocal and to be active, talking about things that are occurring to not only athletes, but to people across the United States.
Should young people, middle school, high school, should they be exposed to some of that? Because it just seems like a lot of young people maybe are not aware of the importance of nutrition, for example.
Oh, definitely. I think one of the most empowering things that we can teach even children in elementary school is how to fuel yourself, and not necessarily in a way of, ooh, have some bread, no, it's more about talking about how to fuel yourself in a way that you feel empowered, in a way that you are sustaining yourself. And I think we've gotten so detached from natural eating because of fast food restaurants and stuff like that that we don't really reconnect to, this is lettuce, and we can grow lettuce, and we can watch it grow, and then we can eat it, and we can complete a more sustainable cycle of nutrition eating.
Good advice for our viewers and for young people in particular that maybe don't see the benefits of that. Well, Pam, your major education. Before we went on the air, we talked a little bit about your role right now as a staff member at Chalita. What a powerful organization. A lot of people maybe don't see how incredibly special that particular institute is.
Yes, going into working there a few years ago, I wasn't even aware of how much they do and how beneficial it is for the students that go there. And I didn't even realize that it was going to connect so much to my field of education too. Like, there's a lot of experiences that I've had while working at Chalita that I know will be very beneficial once I get my own classroom and I can implement some of the things that I've learned with the students that I'll be helping, because a lot of the stuff that they do there is stuff that a lot of people could benefit from just in general.
It's a shining star in this community, no question about it. And that will take you, in the future, you're going to pursue a teaching career, though.
Yes, hopefully. I'm staying in lacrosse this summer and then hopefully finding a teaching job in the area. I know there's a lot of teachers needed just from my student teaching experiences. I know there's a lot of places that have that need, and now it's just time to fill that need somewhere.
And Claire, you're going to make a difference in this world with a career, too, that you alluded to a little bit ago.
With public and community health, it's almost like education where everyone can learn. And the thing that's beautiful about public health is we can learn about health, and we can learn about a lot of ways to not only educate people, but have people be educated and empowered. So things like through community nutrition and through other ways of just sustainable living. And I think that through education, that's the best way to do it.
Maybe your role should be teaching those that in that area at the high school or the college level, because you seem you're knowledgeable, you have a passion for that. You know, all of us have role models in our life, and I have several as I grew up. And yours is interesting. I caught this, Claire, because you mentioned one of your role models is Allison Felix. Now,
yes.
I know that name from Olympic and World Championships. I know that name from how she excelled in living in California, her Christian faith. She is the daughter of an ordained minister. I know her career a little bit. What's special about her?
What's not special about her? I think that one of the things that draws the most inspiration is when I was in middle school and high school. Like, you would kind of hear about, like, Allison Felix is going to be running, and I just remember sitting down and just watching her and how she would conduct herself, like, after a race, always sportsmanlike and always just conducting herself with just a higher level of just attitude and aptitude. And I think that as a younger female athlete, watching another female athlete excel and be empowered not only as an athlete but also as a person, it's just a great role model to base yourself off of and to aspire to be.
And Pam, you said some of your role models are your teammates and even your opponents.
Yeah, through high school, I loved the sport that I was doing, but I didn't really know, I didn't have a reason to do it other than it was just a sport that, just growing up, my family, we all just did athletics. That was what we did. But coming into college, that was when I really realized the reason why I was doing it, and a lot of it was because of the seniors my freshman year that really just drew me closer to the sport more as like a team event, not just something that I did. It was a way to build up fellow teammates while also getting better in your event. And those, like Kendra Anthony and Autumn Miller, those two were the ones that really sparked that in me my freshman year. And they just, the way that they conducted themselves was just amazing to watch. They were powerful, strong women, and throughout all my years, I just tried to, those were the people that I looked up to.
Good for you. Honors for Pam Gramer. Finished 6th in the hammer throw, All-American, first career award. And this is one thing that stood out with me when I looked at your profile. Larry Zergabel was a friend of mine. He passed away a few years ago. And his wife happens to be our classmate. You won the All-Sportsmanship Award named after him, who was a track official. That jumped out at me. Coach Manasic, who's a friend of mine, works with the field event. By the way, he says, it's not track and field, it's field and track. So he said, you battled back from significant injuries. Both of you had significant injuries, causing many to end their career. Now, this is what Coach Manasic says. Doubled down and worked your tail off. You're an inspiration to others, and your work ethic, and gone the extra mile. He said that was his quote about you. Kamisha Thomas, who's part of our family and a close friend, been on the show a couple times. I think she wants to be the host sometime. That's what she says to me. Her quote for both of you, by the way, was, "You're great teammates, encouraging, supportive. You promote healthy eating, promote conditioning, but." You have accomplished a great deal, and your coaching staff and your teammates address that.
Yeah, definitely. It's those times where it seems like the whole, like Coach B said, they could be career-ending injuries for a lot of people. Things like that, or just hard times in general. It seems our team is very much, they're very supportive in those areas. And even though you may need to step back for a while, or you may need to take time to get better in those areas, the support from your teammates and the support from the coaching staff is phenomenal. And it's just shows how much the staff invests in you as an athlete and as a student.
Resiliency, perseverance, all those things. Well, Coach Wagner, a good friend of mine, said this about Claire Shepardson. Wonderful young lady, learned a lot about herself as you transferred to UWL as a freshman. And by the way, looking at freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, competed indoor, out. I mean, you've done everything too. You've accomplished a great deal, as has Pam. You elevated the level of competitiveness among the hurdle group, is what Coach Wagner says. You love amping up your teammates on meet day. Kamisha Thomas says the same thing about you. And is genuine, authentic in your support of your teammates. Is that you?
I would say it is true, but it's easy to be genuine and supportive when everyone around you is just as genuine and as supportive. And it's, especially with the level of competitiveness, especially throughout my career, I never had potentially an ending career injury at all. It was more of, I would get dinged up pretty bad and I would be out for probably a few months, and then it would be, okay, we got a month until conference or nationals. What do you want to do with it? And I just remember going into my junior year just thinking, the faster that I can be, the faster I can pull my teammates. And the faster I can pull my teammates, the more we can go to nationals.
You didn't let setbacks or injuries at all overcome you. You rose, you took the road least taken. You went above and beyond. You didn't quit. And you also say, your favorite saying is, God has given me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I've heard that several times. And the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's you?
Yeah. I think that with the serenity prayer, a lot of the times people tend to give power to things that we don't need to. And we do have the ability to make a change and to actively choose that change. But we also need to know when is it time to stop beating a dead horse. And like having a negative attitude about being injured. And I think Pam could say the same thing, where it's like, it's so easy when you're injured to want to give up and to not come back, and to, but every day then you wake up, you're like, but I want to be with my team.
Here's a saying that I've heard before too, but it personifies who you are, Pam, and it goes like this: you enjoy the struggle, And don't wait until the struggle is over with before you enjoy life. A great life lesson.
Yes, that was something that just was going through my head throughout all those years of just recovery and having to plan through all the physical therapy and all the extra time before practice and after practice to commit to recovery. It was all very time consuming and it was difficult, but even though it was hard, I was still with the team that I loved, and I was doing the sport that I loved. And that was something that through that I was still able to enjoy, even though sometimes it was really not fun. I was still able to enjoy it because of the people I was with.
Well, one of my favorite athletes from the past is Wilma Rudolph. As we close this week's show, she said to give anything but your less, but to give anything less than what you have as a gift is to sacrifice what's been given to you. And both of you have had outstanding careers. You should feel a sense of fulfillment and joy that you accomplished everything throughout your years at UWL. And that's why you are special, and that's why you're guests this week on our show. And best of luck in the future. Thanks for coming on. Again, our guests this week, Pam Gramer and Claire Shepardson, UWL Track and Field. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
for having us.
We'll be back with some closing thoughts right after this.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
Well, with the pandemic somewhat behind us, lots of activities to take advantage of in our area. Road races, bike races, along with fitness walks and hiking are a few of the activities, along with moon tunes and many other opportunities to take advantage of throughout the summer months. We're excited that the loggers are back for the summer. Great family activity. Check out the schedule for July and August and hope to see you at an upcoming game. Many of you are frequent viewers of Seven Rivers Sports, and we sincerely appreciate that. If you have a thought for a guest or a topic in the upcoming months, please contact us here at the studio. Don't forget to watch Knights of Thunder Racing every Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Next week, our guest will be Mackenzie Wilson, Recreation Coordinator for the La Crosse Park and Rec. You will be impressed by learning of the number of activities offered by the Park and Rec in the Cooley region. So until then, I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping that you will have an active, healthy, and a safe week ahead.